It's easy to feel that you're suspended in time at Augusta National. But just as indelible as the breathtaking landscape are the memories of one man's dramatic mastery here. His name, Jack Nicklaus. With a determined eye, Nicklaus slipped on a green jacket for a 5th time. But in 1986, there would be one more, one for the ages.
Nicklaus to move 5 under. Is it enough? Is it enough? Yes! 3 birdies in a row for Nicklaus. 9, 10, 11.
And he has this putt for eagle.
Yes, sir! There's life in the old bear yet. Magnificent stuff. Oh,
It's right at it.
There's no doubt about it. The bear has come out of hibernation.
This is for sole possession of the lead. Maybe. Yes, sir!
What a round. What a player. Ah, beautiful.
While the bear savored and celebrated his 6th green jacket, it lingers as a haunting memory for Greg Norman. That day in '86, he came to the 72nd hole tied with Nicklaus and could have forced a playoff with this putt. Instead, it was only a harbinger of disappointments at the Masters. He has been so tantalizingly close, but never triumphant. And now he's on the brink of Augusta immortality. At long last, will this be the day of Greg Norman's victorious bow at the Masters? Well, the sun is shining and there is a luminous aura to Augusta National today. A glow so palpable, it glimmers on every limb and every blossom. For the 41st year, CBS Sports is proud to bring you the sights and sounds of the Masters. Played once again today under ideal conditions, just gorgeous. It was cool and crisp on Thursday morning, and a lot of nostalgia in the air as the Masters got underway.
Welcome to the 60th Masters. We have our 3 legendary starters who obviously are warmed up and ready to go.
There's not a moment better than this. 94-year-old Gene Sarazen with the ceremonial first shot, and he smacked it right down the middle. Next up, Byron Nelson at age 84. He too knocked it right down the middle. At last, the young one, 3-time Masters champion Sam Snead at age 83. That's the way the tournament started on Thursday. Now today, here is a look at some of the early play. Greg Norman for par at the first. He bunkered his 2nd shot. Hit the lip, suffered bogey at 1. Meanwhile, Faldo made par. The lead was 5. He had opened play with a 6-shot lead. Up ahead at 2. Duffy Waldorf going for the par 5 and 2. beautifully playing the contour of that green and then eyeing the eagle putt. Faldo moved at that time to 6 under par. He's now -5. Greg Norman was over the green in 2 at the second. In par 5, he elected to putt it from here. This is so slippery, and look at this touch. We've seen it all week, starting with Thursday's course record tying 63. So Norman was able to rebound after the bogey at 1 with a masterful touch there at 2. The birdie got him back to 13 under. He parred 3. Faldo over his shoulder. Faldo had birdied the second hole. Now at 4, Norman came up short on the par 3 fourth. It cost him a shot there. Third straight day, Norman bogeyed number 4. Then at 6, Phil Mickelson looking to start a charge. There have been only 2 birdies all day at 6 to this point. Mickelson knocked it just below the hole. The putt for birdie. And the 25-year-old moved to 7 under par. Faldo just a moment ago at 6. Faldo gave one back at 5, missed about an 8-footer for par. Oh, look at this. This to cut the lead to 4. Norman had made par, and Faldo climbs within 4. So it opened as a 6-shot lead, and now it's been trimmed to only 4. Norman, then Faldo, Mickelson 6 behind. Waldorf at 5, Corey Pavin, John Houston, Scott Hope at -3. Mark Calcavecchia at 2 under. Ernie Els up ahead, making the turn at -2 with Frank Nobilo and Masters rookie Scott McCarron, who's 2 over for the day. Davis Love, David Duval, Ian Woosnam, and even. Now a little bit earlier at 16 today, the man who won the Masters 20 years ago, Ray Floyd. Traditional Sunday placement at 16. The man who went wire to wire back in '76 at age 53. That's right. That's the kind of a day it's going to be here. Masters Sunday in Augusta, Georgia. Ray Floyd with a hole-in-one at 16. Norman and Faldo playing the 7th with just a 4-shot difference. And hi, everybody, I'm Jim Nantz. Welcome to Butler Cabin, where by day's end, 1 player will be awarded the green jacket. It was 20 years ago when Ray Floyd went wire to wire, and Greg Norman's trying to become the first since then to do so. His lead went from 2 shots after day 1 to 4 shots at 36 holes to 6 overnight. And Ben Crenshaw, the lead now is 4. Ben, you won this tournament last year. You'll be here for the presentation later on. You served some Texas barbecue on Tuesday night. What's on the menu for all the golf fans today as we watch?
It's going to be exciting. You know, I think that everyone went to sleep last night thinking that Norman has this tournament. He has played magnificent golf all the way through. It appears that way. But we're at a different place where so many things have happened and can happen. One thing is that the wind is not blowing that much today, which is in Greg's favor. But it also, and on the other hand, it gives these other people confidence. These people are dangerous behind him. You see Nick Faldo doing what he's doing. Phil Mickelson's ever dangerous. It's going to be interesting.
Well, let's take a look at the pairings, Ben. We'll be watching today in the final round. Ernie Els and 91 winner Ian Woosnam together. And David Duval, Frank Nobilo. John Houston with Scott Hoke. Scott McCarron and David Frost. Phil Mickelson, Duffy Waldorf, and then Norman and Faldo, the duo again. Now let's meet the announcers.
I'm Peter Costas. I'll be reporting the play on the 10th hole, a 485-yard par 4, where in 40 of the 59 previous Masters, the man with the lead on the 10th tee has gone on to win.
I'm Bobby Clampett. I'll be at Amen Corner beginning with the 11th hole, a 455-yard par 4, downhill second shot to a pin cut less than 20 feet from the water's edge. I'll also be at the treacherous par 3 12th, today measuring 165 yards. The players must make their first journey across Rays Creek to a pin position today cut in the back right.
I'm Ken Venturi, and I'll be at the spectacular 485-yard par 5 13th. The hole today is cut right center, which is the most exciting position.
I'm Jerry Pate, and I'll be at the par 4 14th, 405-yard dogleg to the left. Although there are no bunkers at 14, with the hole cut back left, it's still a tough assignment.
I'm Vern Lundquist, and I'll be at the 15th hole, a short straight par 5 with that menacing pond in front. And I'll also be at the majestic 16th hole, a lovely par 3 playing today at 180 yards, the hole in its traditional Sunday placement, back left.
I'm Sean McDonough. I'll be at 17, a straightaway uphill par 4 of 400 yards. Through 3 rounds, it has been the easiest par 4 on the course. But with the hole today cut front right, a 3-putt is a greater possibility.
I'm Jim Nantz, and I'll be describing the action at 18. 405 yards, par 4. Its steep uphill climb serves as only a symbolic reminder of the arduous efforts it takes to be a Masters champion. And now let's check the leaderboard in the final round of the 1996 Masters. Well, if anyone was going to catch Greg Norman, they had to make a dent into that lead on the first 6 holes. He's 4 over for the week on the first 6 is Norman, and 16 under par on holes 7 through 18, just devouring this course the rest of the way. And Faldo did, in fact, pick up 2 there early. He's 1 under for the day. Norman's +1. Let's go out to the 7th right now. My colleague Ken Venturi has the call.
That's Nick Faldo from 97 yards. Hole way back on the right. And look at this. Just coming into the wind, and it's only 12 feet over that bunker. The one place you want to be, if you miss it here, miss it long. Don't miss it short. There's not much green to work with. Norman now from 90 yards, sand wedge. Playing downwind, which will take some of the spin off. 63 Thursday is Thursday. Today is Sunday. He's got to take the fat side of the greens and not take chances. Takes it in very high. He has missed 4 of the first 6 greens, but right now he's put himself back in position. So as we approach the 7th green, Greg Norman at 12 under par, 4 shots ahead of Nick Faldo.
How's that look?
Nick Faldo looking over his putt. He gets halfway between the ball and the holes because he's almost reading what it would look like if he was half that. Then he takes it and multiplies it, tries to get the break. And coming down. Let's go to 15 first.
Davis Love at even par. This a moment ago, and this for eagle. Red figures for a man many thought to be a contender this week. He's going to finish well back, but second to Ben Crenshaw a year ago. And back to the 7th.
Now Faldo coming downhill. He's a little over twice as far away as Norman. This is very slick. Just look at, just touch it. That's going left. Started left. He never, I think it's misread. That's the most solid hit he's had all day. Still not fooling with the bunker and making a good score, but right now this is where Norman has been so spectacular all week. The first day and second day, he just not only knocked them in, it was a matter how center cut it was. Because once they leave here, they are now getting into Norman's territory. He's not played the first 6 holes well, but today when he shot to 63, he birdied 7, 8, and 9. And the par 5s have just, he's birdied number 2 today, but he has played the par 5 spectacular. Who led all 4 rounds? Craig Wood in 41. Arnold Palmer in 1960. Jack Nicklaus, last man to do it 20 years ago. Ray Floyd led wire to wire. This slopes a little bit. It goes back up into the bunker, so it doesn't have as big a break as you would think. It does slope from back to front, but then it goes back up again. So this is not much break to this putt. Played a magnificent sand wedge. Relaxes himself. Last to put on is his left hand. Then he tries to move the putter with the shoulders and not moving anything else. And that's a costly one. He'll lead by 4, but to increase it to 5 and come into 8, he would really be very comfortable, but it's still a long from over. So let's go to 18.
And here he is, 56-year-old Jack Nicklaus. Jack 6 over today, 9 over for the tournament. The only man to possess 6 green jackets. Hole high, chance for birdie. To 8.
And here's Phil Mickelson. And if there's a significant difference in how Mickelson, Faldo, and Norman fared this week, it comes on the par 5s. Phil Mickelson, this is his 3rd shot, is only 3 under on the par 5s to this moment. Greg Norman is 11 under par on the par 5s. Faldo, the man between them, is -9. This an uphill 535-yard par 5/8. Oh boy. Kenny? I'm not sure what he was trying to do.
That wasn't Phil Mickelson, was it?
I don't think so.
I've never seen. He tried to bounce it off the hill, but see, the one thing, Vern, the hole is the closest to the front of the green as I have ever seen. It's 20 feet on the green and 15 feet from each side. I've never seen it there that I can remember.
There's Duffy Waldorf playing in his 3rd Masters. Had an eagle at the 2nd. We go to 18.
Competing in his 38 Masters and making the cut for the 34th time. Ben, it brought back a lot of memories when we looked at 1986 a moment ago, didn't it?
Oh, well, there wasn't any years like that one. That was in magic.
Frost at the 9th. And pin up front today, too. Ben, what does that mean at 9? We'll get to that in a moment. First, over to 8.
And a moment ago, Duffy Waldorf's 3rd shot. Oh, boy. Duffy with that eagle at the 2nd got to 6 under, but then bogeys at 5 and 6. A birdie at the 7th, and now here's the 4th shot of Phil Mickelson.
Very few people have ever played this shot like Phil Mickelson. Watch how much he has got it laid way open, and from this short a distance, he takes the largest swing of any player that I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, it'll get airborne. Way up. Well,
how do you like that?
I think that takes Kenny a lot of practice and a very deft touch.
You'll never see a longer swing for a shorter shot in your life.
Well, that left for par for Mickelson. And at 15, third shot of Freddie Couples, who was at 1 over par. Many thought on form he might be in the thick of it this week. Well, there's a nice pitch shot for Fred Couples. Winner at the TPC, the Players' Championship, and the victor here in 1992. Playing with two-time Masters champion Bernhard Langer, who's also having a tough day at +5. We go to 12.
Today playing 165 yards, and earlier today the wind was actually downwind. Now, for the most part, it's been back into Corey Pavin. To be a 7-iron, trying to take it low. Outstanding shot. 12 feet to 8.
And Duffy Waldorf will come up about 5 inches short in his bid for birdie. Waldorf had one of the 6 eagles on this hole. That was yesterday. And with his length of disappointing 5. Now Mickelson at the 15th. Here's Langer. That was for birdie. Bernhard will mark. As we said, he came in at +5 to 14.
John Daly for birdie here at 14. Very difficult hole location today on the back left. Only 3 birdies thus far. Daly started the day at even par. Now it's 6 over, playing in his 5th Masters tournament. 218.
Nicklaus for birdie. Well, he opened this tournament with a 200 par 70. And we were hopeful he could maintain that pace, but Jack Nicklaus, always a grand sight at Augusta National. Back to 8.
Mickelson for par. Well, he's now +2 or -2 on the par 5s for the week.
Vern, I don't understand why he didn't play the 3rd shot like he played the 4th shot.
Back in the fairway. Here's Nick Faldo. Second shot for Nick. 265 yards away. As Kenny said, the hole is cut as close to the front as we've ever seen it, only 20 feet. 2-iron for Nick.
This is when you'd like to be long, Vern, and give yourself more green.
No, that started right. Comes up considerably short. They're playing the tee way back today, and the pin up front. And a wood for Greg Norman from 250.
I don't believe that Faldo was going at the green, Vern. I think he was trying to be right where he was to get a pitch shot because it's so difficult to get at that hole with being so close.
Right, Kenny. Heard the advice of Greg Norman's caddy, Tony Navarro. Once he gets in his setup, he's rather deliberate. That looked like it was left. And he pulled it. That's something that was noticeable on a couple of tee shots on the back nine yesterday. At 15, here's Couples for birdie. And Fred, who started this tournament with a round of 78, came back with a 68 to make the cut. It was an even par, but that's 12 back of the leader. However, Greg Norman with some difficulty on the 8th.
I guess it was meant for him to be the champion.
At the 16th, Fred Couples, where Raymond Floyd aced this hole earlier with a 5-iron. And that's going to stay in the lower part of the hole. Back to 8. And Greg Norman marching toward his ball. In 1986, Greg Norman had the lead after the 3rd round at the memorable effort of Jack Nicklaus that we documented earlier. Jack winning his 6th. And Greg with a chance to force a playoff that day at the 10th.
And on the tee, David Frost, 485-yard downhill, dogleg left. David going with the driver, and this hole is back playing much shorter today than it did yesterday. There you see evidence of the firmness of the fairways. Last couple of groups have had players hitting pitching wedges to 10. Let's go back to 8.
Nick Faldo, his 3rd shot.
Vern, he's not going to try to bump and run this one. He's going to take a sand wedge with this and try to land it just on the front part of the green, being he only has 20 feet to work with.
Okay, let's see how well he accomplishes that.
He won't take a long follow through, though.
Back-to-back champ, 89 and 90. Just does get on the front edge. Faldo, you can sense the disappointment in his posture. And Greg Norman played so well on the par 5s, and he has birdied this hole each of the first 3 days, but 3rd shot coming up now. Ken, did you notice anything in particular with that 2nd shot?
Well, he's going uphill, and he lost his balance and trying to hit it hard. As he fell backwards just a little bit, he crossed the line with the club going over the ball and made the ball go right to left. There's certain places out here that you just, if you're going to miss it at 8, miss it right. You know, there's certain places that you just eliminate out of your whole repertoire. You just don't go in this position. Now he's got to go between the trees. If he's going to be anything here with this chip or pitch he's going to play, he can't leave it where Mickelson was. He has to be longer.
He'd love to put a 5 in the card at this moment.
If Faldo had put his close enough, this really would have put the heat on Norman to play this shot.
Try and keep this low. Wonderful short game lately. We saw evidence of it yesterday and indeed the first 2 rounds.
He will go right of those 2 trees. He's not going to fool anything. Even though you see the pin, he will go right of it towards the front of the green.
Go.
Good smart play, Vern.
Absolutely, Kenny. That was very nicely done. Chance to get up and down in 2 from that spot.
Hey, just
Bobby Jones once said the hardest shot in the world is to try to put a ball back in play again.
I think many of us thought if Greg got off to a really terrific start in the first 5 holes, maybe the first 6, this tournament would be over. He did not do that.
Well, you see right there, Vern, he's only hit 3 of the first 8 greens, and he's had his problems on the first 6 holes, but he has been brilliant after he left number 6.
His record in final rounds here over the last 4 years, a couple of 68s, but also a couple of 77s. At the 16th. Well, want to see some break on a putt? Here's Bernhard Longer at the 16th. Almost like a turn indicator on it when you hit. Back at the 8th. Norman's 4th shot. Beauty. Ben, he's giving himself a few tests, isn't he?
He is, but you know, it's remarkable. That was a brilliant 3rd shot to get to where he could chip that ball. It was a very much of a touch. He was watching that ball all the way. He was thinking of where he could hit that ball to make 5 his worst score, and he's done it, and he did it beautifully there. Another beautiful little chip. Now Nick is very upset with himself because he laid up on the proper line, and 6, 7 times out of 10 he's going to get the ball within 8 or 9 feet of the hole from where he did. But he's a little upset with himself with that pitch.
And we'll see if that affects the putt.
Stand still, please.
The authoritative voice of Fanny Sunison is caddy. He is no longer upset. The lead is 3 with 10 to play on Sunday in Augusta. And we go to 11.
Frank Nobilo for his 4th straight birdie. Nobilo moves to 5 under par. In his 2nd Masters appearance, got here by finishing 10th in last year's Open Championship. To 9.
Well, the 9th hole has only been birdied 3 times today. And the placement today, front left.
That's a tough pin, Jimmy, and I think the way the wind's blowing there, if you hit a good solid tee balls, they will get it down within 9-iron wedge distance. But then, this is very interesting now. Nick is 3 behind. He's charging. There's been a couple of little stumbles by Greg. It's going to be very difficult to put this ball close to that pin, I can tell you. You're going to make your mistake long, there's no doubt, with this pin. But they want to get this ball down the center or center right, because as Ken Venturi said yesterday, it does open up that angle beautifully. But
Ben,
this is getting interesting now.
Ben, you know too that they may say green it at number 9, but the first 25 feet of it is not in use. It'll come right back off the green.
It's death. It comes right back to you a long way.
Well, Nick Faldo knows all about coming from behind at the Masters. When he won in '89, he was 3 shots back with 3 to play, 1 in a playoff. The following year at 90, he was 7 down with 18 to play, also 1 in a playoff. He has cut the 6-shot deficit starting today in half. And there are 10 holes to play. That's an ideal position right there.
That is ideal, and he can gamble if he wants to on that second. He probably will. He probably will. And we can't say enough about what an emotional lift that putt just had for him back there on 8.
Well, that's what he needed right there. A solid shot off the tee. And that's huge. A little bit of an upslope, too, will make the shot easier. Over to 12.
Nobilo, 7-iron. Wind right now coming right to left, which is the most predictable wind. And a smart play for Nobilo. Really can't go at that flag. He's on a run. He's at 5 under par, 7 behind Norman, but watch out. Faldo's only 3 back.
There's your champion.
New Zealand's Frank Nobilo, twice in the top 10 at the U.S. Open, with 4 straight birdies to climb into a 3rd-place tie with Phil Mickelson, who was 1 over on the front. Duffy Waldorf 1 under for the day. Davis Love with an eagle at 15, birdie at 16. He's at -3 with Scott Hope, once a runner-up here. And Jeff Maggart 2 under for the day, playing the 16th. Corey Pavin just picked up a birdie at 12. Ernie Els at 2 with Houston, Frost, and Scott McCarron. Bob Tway opened here with 67. He's still in red figures with Lee Jansen, Mark Calcavecchia, and David Duval, another Masters rookie. 4 rookies in all made the 36-hole cut. Nick Price at +3. Ray Floyd with the ace today. Shot a 1 under par, 71 in at +4. Hale Irwin, 72 in the final round. Jack Nicklaus at +9. Seve Ballesteros finished at 11 over, and Alexander Cheka was +14. 44 players in all qualified for the weekend, the smallest weekend field since 1974. Here, they cut the field to the low 44 in ties, and they hit it right on the number on Friday night. Let's go out to the play at 13, Kenny Venturi.
Corey Pavin at the 13th hole, coming off a birdie at 12, and he has this putt for birdie, and I don't know what. He got over the ball, and then he backed off, walked all the way over to his bag, took his towel, wiped his face and neck, and returned back to the ball. But this for 4. No problem. Now it goes to 3 under par. He was 3 under at the turn and then made double bogey, but birdies at 12 and 13. And the hole today is cut right 9 feet from the right-hand side and only 9 feet more to the hazard. So, but if you can get a ball coming in from left to right, it'll find the slope and it will get close as we go back to 12.
Nobilo, 40 feet for birdie. Whoa, ball. Boy, now he's got 7 feet coming back for par to 9.
The man who has won 5 Grand Slam titles, 3 claret jugs at the British Open, 2 green jackets here at Augusta, with 112 yards to the hole. Where do you want to land this one, Ben?
You'd ideally want to land the ball just at the very top of the crest. in order to get it. But he's thinking of just past the hole, just past the hole if he can. Oh. This was probably the biggest gamble that I took in my shot, my year last year, with this second shot on 9.
You knocked it within a foot there. Let's go over to 10. Peter?
Phil Mickelson, 164 yards. Flagstick 12 on, 4 from the left edge. Safely positioned in the front middle of the green. Back to 9.
Yeah, Ben, at 9 last year, you hit the shot of the day at that hole, just below the hole, about a foot, made birdie, and that was a huge moment for you.
Well, it was. I could have taken a pitching wedge and hit it a little past the hole, but sometimes you have a hunch, and you hope you have the right club, but it came off. It's dangerous, though.
Ben, the one thing you guard against here is short. I got to believe if Norman wants to go the back 9 with a three-shot lead, he has to be long.
He must be long, Ken. You're right.
He has only 100 yards to the hole. Oh, there it is, Kenny.
That's what you have to guard against. That is, you just can't do that. You have to be long. Faldo was long, way long, but he was right. He played the right shot, and now you've got a big problem. Ben, you'd have to say that when you get in that position and that pin is in, that's the most difficult position you can find on any hole. You have to be long.
To 12.
Noblo for par and a 4-stroke. Pulled it right off the bat. Disappointing 3-putt nullifies those 4 straight birdies. Drops Noblo back to 4 under. With his length and his swing, he can get to the 2 par 5s. To 9.
Well, this gives you a greater appreciation of exactly how treacherous this third shot will be for Greg Norman, who leads by only 3. Kenny, let's talk about options right here.
Options again, Jimmy, is long, because I was out there the other day. Remember when we came off the tower and they were getting set to set the holes and where they'd be? I walked off from the front part of the green, from the fringe to the crest. It's almost 10 steps and before you can even use the green. And one thing here I always thought about, and I'm sure Ben did too, if you're going to miss it long. Don't leave it down here, because you're faced with one of the most difficult little pitch shots you can find on the golf course.
It's doubly difficult, but you know we can second guess. Man, but the thing that's so beautiful about this whole golf course, it tempts you. And Greg Norman can hit the highest, steepest pitches, and that pin is presented like he was, and he was sure of his yardage. He didn't execute, but the course gives you that, though. It just absolutely tempts you.
If you're not careful here, this could come right back. But still a slippery putt with par. The man bidding to become the first Australian to win the Masters.
Jim, believe it or not, that's as good as you could hit it without taking more of a chance.
Well said, Kenny. Over to 10.
With his birdie effort to get to -6, Phil Mickelson. Shot 30 on the back 9 on Thursday. He needs a 30 and then some today to challenge for the championship. But putts like that, I'm afraid, won't do enough. Par 4 for Phil Mickelson. At the 10th hole, he remains at -5. We'll go back to 9.
Faldo Made birdie here yesterday on a speedy downhiller. This is a little bit longer. Oh, look out.
Painted a picture of that. That was a beautiful putt. Probably broke about 7 feet, something like that.
Could you imagine the pressure that would have put on Norman's par putt? We could have been looking at a 2-shot swing, but it's par for Faldo. And a strong front 9, 2 under par 34, with birdies at 2, 6, and 8. Only offset by the bogey at 5. Now Norman, a man who didn't take up this game until his mid-teens. And how gifted was he? He was a scratch player in 19 months. This putt for par.
This putt here is at least two balls out on the right, maybe more. Thinking of pace, thinking of the pace that he's developed over the first 3 days.
He was making all of these the first 3 days, but not now. This is only a 2-shot differential as we head to the back 9 at Augusta National. Greg Norman 2 over on the front with bogeys at the 1st, 4th, and 9th holes. And the 10th hole has always been his nemesis. Greg Norman leads by 2. So we go to the back 9 Sunday at the Masters.
That's one of the greatest putts I've ever seen.
We're back at the Masters. 2-time winner Ben Crenshaw joining us today. And Ben, set it up for us going to the 10th.
These no doubt, anybody's book. These 2 of the best players in the world, and it couldn't be set up any better. We're going to see some stuff on this back 9.
Peter Costas is out there at the 10th.
Nick Faldo's tee shot, absolutely perfect, catching the slope, the contours, and that is long. Nick has added some yardage to his tee shots this week. Now Greg Norman, anybody who thought this was going to be a cakewalk today for Greg Norman doesn't understand the pressures of the Masters, or the pressures of pursuing a lifelong dream, for that matter. Greg with a 3-wood. His routine is almost the same as it was earlier this week, perhaps a little bit quicker. Nicely placed. Greg has converted 3 pars so far this week on the 10th hole. And there you see Nick Faldo's driver versus Greg Norman's 3-wood. Only 3 birdies here at 10 all day today. Beautiful hole. The flagstick today, only 12 steps on and 4 from the left. So difficult to get an uphill putt at this cup. And Ben, you know, it may sound strange, but sometimes it's mentally more difficult to play with a big lead because you have so many more options. When you're coming from behind, your mind is kind of made up, and all you have to do is execute.
That is, Peter. There's no question. You know, Nick's driven it, got a nice drive down the fairway, and here's number 18, Freddie Couples. Got one beautiful coat in his closet.
Frank Navalo, who is 226 yards, and in the light rough. And right now the decision here is he can reach the green. He's strong enough to get there, but you got to hit it so hard. You carry it, it'll go over the green. And of course, I said it's tucked in so nicely to the right-hand side. It's just such a tempting pin.
This is a smart option.
So what do we go with?
Right now, I would suggest he lays up. I don't think that's a pin to go for it. If he wants to lay up, he's got to take the left-hand side of the fairway to give himself an easier pitch. The right-hand side, you don't have any green. You're going by. You take the creek out of play. So I think he will lay up. He should. Yes, that's exactly what he's doing. And he laid well back. I'll tell you what, that is well back. It's going to hit the left-hand side of the fairway, which it should be, but he'd like to have probably about 10, 15 more yards. But that's perfect position for the line there. He's got more green to work with. And that's very good placement as we go back to 10 now.
Tony likes a 7.
Right at your spot.
I make the yardage 170 downhill to the hole. Properly played, this should be short and right of the flagstick. In years past, this hole, very difficult for Greg to play. That's going left. That is not where you want to make your mistake. He has stayed up, but almost certainly will have to putt that ball. Greg Norman has missed more greens today than he has any other round. I make it an even 150 for Nick Faldo. Thing about Greg, though, his misses have been in areas where he actually has 2-putted from off the green to save his pars. So tempting to fire at the flag, yet so difficult to execute. Well, the experience of a Masters champion. And that's what makes Nick Faldo such a great player. He always works the ball from the center of the green towards the flagstick if he executes properly. If he doesn't, he generally leaves himself in the middle of the green. Greg Norman alone with his thoughts as he walks towards the green, hoping for people to accept him as the oldest first-time winner of the Masters. He could care less about that. Beautiful applause. Let's go forward to 11.
Phil Mickelson, this is the right angle to come into this green from. The right side of the fairway opens up the flag. 141. Look at this. Best shot today. Mickelson can climb right back in this thing. That would take him to 6 under. To 10.
Now the shadows are actually lifting a little bit here at 10. Earlier they virtually provided camouflage for the players, making green reading very, very difficult. Greg is going to chip this ball. He has missed the green, but the good news is he is coming pretty much straight up the slope. Well, the challenge is from within. How deep they are here at Augusta. Arguably the best player in the world having a battle within himself today. Now Nick Faldo surveying his putt. He's done a lot of work the past year with Dr. Farnsworth out of Denver to improve his putting. His optics were all messed up, and he's done a lot of exercises, and now he's gone back to conventional putting, and I think it's helped his pace. If Nick should convert this, it could possibly be a 2-shot swing and a tie for the lead. Now he mishit it. He knew it from the beginning. But the 10th hole, not one to attack. A safe par 4 for Nick Faldo. And once again, let's take a look at that reaction. He knew he mishit it. A great opportunity that you'd just like to give yourself a chance, but he did not. Now, once again, can Greg Norman lean on the shaft of that putter one more time? He has saved shots at every opportunity virtually this week. This putt does not break to the left as much as players think. Except when you pull it. Now, back-to-back bogeys for Greg Norman. His lead has dwindled to 1. Oh, to know what's going on in that mind. Let's go forward to 11.
Mickelson to pull within 4. Straight downhill. No. Got it outside the hole, pushed it. You've got to hit those short downhill putts so solidly, don't you, Ken Venturi?
You just got to concentrate on line, because you know as soon as you make contact, you've got enough speed to get there. I feel sometimes, Bobby, that his short stroke on very fast greens tends to get a little bit too long.
Now he's got a little bit work left here. 2 feet or so coming back, and we've seen numerous short putts missed here today, but this straight uphill. Ooh, like he pulled that a little bit, side door. Disappointed Phil Mickelson. Even though 4 here is a good score, he's disappointed. To 13.
Frank Novello. That for 4. And he gets the bogey that he made at 12 and now goes to 5 under par at 13. And let's go back to 11 now.
A man pushing himself. Nick Faldo with the driver. You like it. Must be up the right center of the fairway. Oh, huge bounce. The roar in the background, the crowd noticed Norman's bogey at 10 and Faldo in perfect shape. Now, a look of concern, a man who's won 75 professional events, the longest winning streak, current winning streak on tour, at 5 years. But this one would mean so much more. Needs a good tee shot more than ever right here. Strength of his game. He's answered the call. And that is huge. Passing Faldo's. He'll have nothing left more than about a 9-iron to this green to 13.
Scott Hoke here at 13, his second shot from 194 yards. And looking good. Yes, very nice. That's the best of the day right now. But that has not been an easy putt coming down from that side. It's very difficult to read. Let's go back to 12.
Duffy Waldorf.
Going to hit it. You got the flag not flag still right now.
Could write a book on caddy player conversations on this tee. It's parred 8 holes in a row. 5 under. Looks to be an 8-iron. With that club, I can't imagine he'd go at the flag. Wow, that's a good shot. Now Mickelson, this green is angled to really favor the left-handed player. And if there's a hole on the course that would favor him, it's this one. He can take it at the bunker and perhaps draw it a little bit. If he hits it right, it'll be a little longer and stay out of the water. Waiting for that moment when the wind is just right. They like it. Just long.
Got long? Yeah.
In the shadows. It's an aggressive play, a smart play. He's had his sights set all week on winning this tournament. To 13.
Scott Hoke, who's not paid much attention to today, has his for eagle to go to 6 under. Finished runner-up at 89. This is fast and misses to the right. You can see the speed. Look how now that ball is barely moving, and that's going by the hole at least 4 feet. You just have to pick the putter up and let the ball start rolling. Let's go to 17.
Nick Price, his second to the par 4.
Don't go in. Ben. Come on,
He
Ben.
said don't go in. Yeah, he doesn't have to worry about it going in, but he'll have that for birdie, and we go back to 11.
And Sean, speaking of Nick Price, here at 11 earlier today, his second shot flew into the flagstick and kicked into the water, where he made a double bogey. This is not a pin to go at.
Bobby, you're now getting into the really, not only the 2 greatest players around, but now you're getting into a mental game. Faldo now, being first to hit, has to eliminate the pin, has to put it in the middle of the green, and then let Norman decide. Norman needs to start getting himself back on track. He doesn't need birdie. He just has to make some good decisions.
Kenny, he's got 143 yards. And what he needs to do is make a conservative play, but play aggressively. He needs to focus in on a particular spot in the middle of the green and play this, what appears to be an 8-iron, right at the bridge. Start a little left. Oh, right at it. Right below the hole. That's a relatively straight putt. About the best lead you can give yourself.
This is now becoming a sparring match right here, one-on-one.
Norman 133 yards. My guess a soft 9-iron. Wind slightly into him. Started just right of the flag. Should
left.
Take it left. Excellent shot. Pin high right. That putt will break significantly from right to left. But it's a smart play. And Greg Norman has 3 over through 10 holes. And the lead is cut to 1.
Arnold Palmer is the Masters champion of 1960.
At the 17th green, Nick Price for birdie. Well, he told the second shot not to go in. That's because he wanted to make the putt, and he did to get to +2. 212.
Nicholson, a dangerous little bump and run. Well played. And you can see Phil hanging in there in a 4-way tie for 3rd at 5 under. Norman and Faldo at 11. And you can see Maggart, Pavin, Calcavecchia playing well. Freddie Couples even par after an opening round of 78. Paul Azinger never had a top 10 here at the Masters, but a solid tournament. Nick Faldo, he should know this putt. You see in 1979 what happened to Ed Snead. And this is the same putt Faldo had in '89. To win the Masters, and this one hangs right. I think he was expecting it to go left. Up at the 12, Phil Mickelson pulling it from 4 feet. Pushed it on 11, pulls it at 12. Back-to-back missed putts from 4 feet. Beginning of the day, Nick Faldo had his sights set on shooting 66. Felt that was a number that should be able to put a lot of pressure on Greg today. He's 2 under through here, and Greg has got this downhill putt that should break some 2 feet or more from right to left. Ben, do you charge this putt? You have to just set it up there high and die it, don't you?
I don't think you can charge it, Bobby. It's a putt, like you said. I think I agree with you. It's about it's almost 2 feet to the right.
For Norman, he's doing everything he can to relax. Got plenty of speed. Oh, it was a good putt. Certainly didn't look anything like the strokes at 9 and 10, but it was aggressive. And he'll have 3.5 feet coming back. And now his palms sweating. Go through his whole routine. For par. Oh. Three bogeys in a row for third round leader Greg Norman. The lead, which started at the beginning of the day at 6, is down now to a tie, and Faldo with a tap in for par. Who would have thought it would have happened this early? But Nick Faldo has been rock solid today, and the players are getting a standing ovation as they come to the 12th tee.
You know what that ovation says, Bobby? They're standing ovation, and they're now saying, "You're tied, let the best man win."
It's a battle of two gladiators. What must be going through his mind? Faldo wiping the sweat off his hands. Nice warm spring day. The wind not blowing much only makes the sweat even more in the palms. He's looking 155 yards to carry the middle bunker. Got to be a 7-iron for Nick. And Norman almost stone-faced. Players have had their share of battles. British Open. But this one may be the greatest. The wind light. Into and right to left to play a 7-iron over the bunker. Start at right edge of the bunker, looking for the wind to draw it in. Exactly where he wanted to play it. Perfect shot for Nick Faldo. Putting the heat on Norman once again. Voice of Tony Navarro saying 170 to the back right.
Yes, I do. Stick to your target now. Stick over that bunker.
Over the bunker, says Tony.
Right now, if I was Greg, I would not take the pin. I'd take it over the fat side of the bunker, put it on the green. He's not going to win it here, but he can lose it here.
Norman also with a 7-iron. Wind light. Good looking shot. It's heading at the flag. Is it the right number? Wow. 2 days in a row. There's the ball submerged in Race Creek. That ball will not be playable. 3 bogeys in a row. And then this. So Amen Corner claiming another victim. Norman and Faldo tied for the lead at 9 under par.
Everyone is stunned. Greg Norman has led this tournament for 48 holes since birdieing the 17th hole on Thursday en route to a course record tying 63. And then Faldo caught him at the 11th hole Sunday. And Norman in the water at 12. The last thing you heard Tony Navarro say there, Bobby Clampett, was stick with your target. But Greg instead went directly at the flag.
Got to take the flag out of play on the tee, but Norman now dropping back about 85 yards, and he has to go dead aim now, and this is a difficult wedge shot. Stay up. Yes, well played. 12 feet for bogey. Can he get it up and down again as he did yesterday? He's still going to have the advantage on the par 5s over Faldo. And as Ken Venturi said, he could lose the tournament here. As he crosses Hogan's Bridge. And to Kenny at 13.
Phil Mickelson's second shot. That's from 229 yards. That is awesome, and has got a very, very long putt. He'll have it about 40 feet at least, and really one of the slickest putts you'll find. And Duffy Waldorf, that's from 206 yards. That is going left. That's not even going to hit the green. Right in the bunker. That is way left. Took the creek out of play, but that is really a difficult bunker shot as we go forward to 15 now.
And Frank Nobelo's third shot at this par 5 had to lay up short of the pond. He's 96 yards out. Absolutely quiet right now. A little bit of a slight downhill lie. To 12.
Faldo for birdie. Slightly downhill, breaking about 8 inches left to right. Looked like a good stroke. It just stayed up. Perfect speed. And it's, if he can tap that in, he will take the lead here by at least 1 stroke. He's won 5 majors, 2 here, and he knows the mental framework it takes in these situations. Tenacity, and keep pushing yourself. Now Norman. Amen means so be it. And when you come here and make some mistakes like Norman has, you have to forget what's behind and look ahead. Slightly uphill. We'll break just outside the left edge from left to right. Never hit it. Double bogey 5 for Norman. Now 6 over par on his round today. Is it possible to come back from something as great as that? Can he take it away at 13?
Bobby, he walking to the 13th tee. He's had his head down, and what looked like today to be a leisurely walk in the park with a 6-stroke lead, he has just now become the aggressor. He now has to catch Faldo. 1 shot back. 2 shots back. I mean, I'm sorry, with the double bogey. Now his game plan has definitely changed. No more playing safe. No more just laying around. Now it is attack. Faldo has birdied this hole all 3 times, as Norman has. Who would ever thought that this soon, going to 13, Faldo would have a 2-shot lead?
Right down your line now,
He likes it. He likes it. He'll play it. That is borne out clean safe. It's back. That to me looks like it's got layup in it right there. Wasn't taking a chance. Wasn't flirting with the creek. He's now going to see what Norman can do. He's got to gather himself. Remember what got him to Sunday. You're right. Birdie at the worst. That's going right. Way right. He likes to drive it right. That's not as bad as it looked when it came off the tee. He's up in the pine straw there. He's almost about the same place that Phil Mickelson hit it. But he's now walking behind Faldo, 2 shots back, playing the 13th hole. After the double bogey, Nick Faldo at 9 under, Greg Norman at 7.
Got a chance, yes.
Well, U.S. Open champion Corey Pavin has fought back from an opening round 75. He just birdied 17, and he's 4 under par for the tournament. Look at Phil Mickelson. He's had an un-Mickelson-like day on the short putts. Otherwise, he'd be battling right now with Faldo and Norman. There's Jeff Maggart in at 3 under after 69. Fred Couples tried to get it to red figures after an opening 78. He returned all the way to even with 3 straight subpar rounds. Never got it to red figures this tournament. Jim Furyk under par on Sunday, and John Daly backed up a bit to +6. Back to you, Kenny. 13.
Phil Mickelson for birdie. And that puts him 5 under, and he'll think about the 2 short putts he missed at 11 and 12, or he would have been 7 under par right now for the moment, and tied with Greg Norman, not even thinking that he would be tied. And there's Greg's ball. And you don't fool with a lot of pine straw around a golf ball because you don't know how far it goes and you don't want to move it. But Greg can play the shot because Greg does not take deep divots. He picks the ball, so it's to his advantage. I tell you, if he did anything right today, which he hasn't been doing much to himself, but he has kept his composure. I just like to. He never showed any peaks and valleys. His eyes were frozen, and he knew what he had to do. And it must be a difficult situation right now after 12 holes, and you've lost 8 shots to the runner-up.
The wind is straight left to right.
Kenny, it's the hardest thing in the world to gather yourself when you've experienced a collapse like this. But how do you bring it back and right the course?
I don't know, Jimmy. If I had known that, maybe I might have won in 56. I don't know. Those are very difficult things to do. You're smart, you know everything, but all of a sudden you don't know what's happening, and it's just something that you can't explain. I'll never be able to explain. That was 40 years ago, and today I feel for him. I just feel I know what he's going through, and it's so hard to pull yourself back.
Off this line, but yeah, I think you could get it there. I'm just wondering if that's a good play or not. I don't think no, that's a dodgy play. We can make 4 the other way.
Where's it going? It's right on the front right?
Yeah, you know where it is. Yeah, tight.
It's 232. Mickelson was 229, and now
a lot of wedge shot, you know. I mean, thing is, you're hitting down there off hook line, right?
This shot will dictate what Norman does, what Faldo does.
I don't think there's any question that he knows that he can reach it, but he's worried about where to leave that ball. He knows he's probably got to hit a wood. All depends on the lie. But
Ben, if he lays up and puts it in the left-hand side of the fairway and he has a longer shot, he will have an easier chance to get it close than if he knocks it over the green coming down the hill.
It's going to release once it gets out there.
He's chosen to lay up, which I believe is the smart move.
I think it is too, Ken.
Well, he's just been, but you've been there, we've been there. You've got to get yourself back in. You just can't keep taking yourself out.
What I want to do. If you think that's the play, let's go for it. 213? 213 to the front. I think that's the right play, Greg.
He's laying up, but it's a 50-50 in his mind, Ben. It's maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't, maybe I should do it. We'll never know. He's laying up now, though.
Get him, Greg.
Come down the hill a little bit more. If that had gone about just another 10 yards, it would have been an excellent position, but he's still fine. Now Faldo has to make his decision. What does he do now? With a 2-shot lead, I would think probably, to me, I don't know. It's all how you feel. If he can put it from right to left, get the club on the ball, he's got a lot of green to work with on the left. It's just how you feel. Well, he's going to the top of the bag. That looks like long irons. He's not looking down in the short iron department. He's going to he's going to the head cover.
Perfect. Just go for it.
Well, he's such a great arm player, Ben. I think that he's got that great soft shot. He can play it. He plays as well as anybody, doesn't he?
He certainly does, and he's got, you know, here's the thing. He's got a lot of room to work with, like you said. I had thought that he had driven it just a little farther. He might have played a long iron, but if there's someone who trusts his swing, it's this guy right here. We'll see.
Got the ball a little bit above his feet. He'll play it with an open stance. And the one thing he's got to take out of play is the creek right and the creek front. A little breeze came up. There was just a touch of a breeze down there. He's gathering himself. He feels if he can make birdie here, he'll walk away with a 3-shot lead. 5 holes to play. This could be the shot of the tournament.
Too much of an angle.
Well, now he's going to the lower clubs. He's now laying up. I don't know. That doesn't look like a layup swing. He didn't lay up. He put it right in on the green. Watch. Oh no. Oh, well, it won't catch it yet. If that had been about 10 feet to the right, that would have come right down the hill. Excellent swing. I don't know what he was thinking about taking that wood out. We were told he was going to lay up, but that was not a layup approach to address the ball. He's pumped up now. He's got a spring in his walk. Norman is 80 yards. Perfect sand wedge for him. And right now that he has 9 feet to the right of the pin, and it has about 25 going over the hazard. What do you got, Ben?
I just was thinking about Nick's shot. I think that he was worried about holding the slope of the lie that he had. Sometimes, so many times, as you know, Ken, you'll try to hold on to that thing, keep it from going left, but I think that it was probably easier for an aggressive shot with a long iron.
I agree with you very much so. Norman now with a sand wedge, 80 yards. A 4 is a must.
All right, now Greg, you've played these shots so well, you've got to stick it in there.
Well, he was conservative that with the crossing the hazard, but that has not been an easy putt. I have not seen it made today from that position. We have not had an eagle. We've had 22 birdies, but no putts, really big putts made at all. Let's go to 18.
Corey Pavin. This is for par. Currently in a 5th place tie. Oh. Short of the green in 2, pitched it up to 8 feet. He has some record at Augusta. Always felt this would be the major he'd have the best chance of winning. He'd missed 6 of 11 cuts at the U.S. Open until he arrived at Shinnecock last June. But another top 10 at the Masters for Corey Pavin. And we dash to 16. Vern?
And 35-year-old Frank Nobilo for birdie. In only his 2nd appearance, the young man from Auckland, New Zealand, has now climbed to the 3rd position at 6 under par. So we have a Brit, an Aussie, and a New Zealander in the top 3 spots at Augusta, back to 13.
Right now, you cannot believe the silence here. It is just amazing. Looking down at that green, and you can see the anguish in Tony's face looking up here at the tower. And I'll tell you what, you're looking at the 2 greatest players in the world right now. Faldo thought he had to shoot 66 to have a chance to even get near Norman. Faldo, now this is not much of a breaking putt. It's just all speed, and it'll go a little bit from left to right. But all he wants to do is draw a circle around that hole of 3-foot diameter and get it inside there. Still fast, put it by a good 3 feet, and that ball wasn't moving very fast. So Greg Norman knows the speed of this right now. He left himself a little test. Norman has to take a good look. This is a must. This really is, if you're a player, right, Ben? This right now you would know, and he knows that this is a must.
And this is a tough one to read, Ken. Like you said,
I've seen it all day.
This is a putt that you have to know. This putt, 9 times out of 10, you'd think it worked to the creek, but this putt hangs on you and even goes a hair right. I think we'll get a really good angle on this, but this is a putt that you've got to know.
We've had about 7 or 8 in this length for eagles, and we have not had an eagle today. If he makes this, he'll be the first one from this position to make it. He says to himself, just trust it. Get yourself set, hit the line, and believe what you see. What a key putt. What a read. What a good call, Ben. That may be the one he needed.
God, that was just brilliant. And that may be the thing that he needs. He needed that desperately, obviously, but I just can't get over the brilliance of this hole. And it's here every year, it just absolutely rings you out with these decisions. Now we've seen certainly an unlikely 4 from the other way.
Well, it's the greatest par 5 under 500 in the world. Now this is no gimme. You may take it at your club, but you're not going to take it on Sunday afternoon at the Masters. And he leaves with birdie. Both making birdie, but Faldo 10 under par, Greg Norman at 8, and Frank Nobilo at 6.
It's a long, rolling 25-footer.
Fantastic shot. He putted it into the hole. A birdie here on 18.
Well, this was the way the day started. Norman on top by 6. Started to slip on the front 9. This man leads by 2 as we join Jerry Pate at 14.
And that shot appears to be down the right-hand side. The tee shot of Nick Faldo. But he has an open shot to the green. Now Greg Norman with a 3-wood. Well, you can hear by the roar of the crowd that is down the left side and perfect. Greg Norman had had the lead now for some 60 hours until losing it to Faldo. And I think being in this position, Ben, I think really there's some fight left in the shark. Being behind now, trailing Faldo, I think will loosen him up, let him get back to his own pace, his own game.
I think you're right, Jerry. I'm glad to see him. He took that 3-wood. He had, you know, he has a little more loft in his hand. It's easier to turn the ball over. I think Nick's got a beautiful lie, but we're going over to 17.
Frank Nobilo a moment ago from 123 yards. Vern Lundquist mentioned a moment ago Nobilo appearing in just his second Masters, and last year he missed the cut, was 10 over through the first 2 rounds and was not around on the weekend. To 16.
And here's Scott McCarron appearing in his first Masters at 2 under par, 5'10", 170, and he hits it a ton. He just had a 360-yard drive on the par 5 15th and just missed an eagle. Hole back left. Takes it right at it and just short of the gallery. Scott McCarron making a fine account of himself today. Back in the fairway at 15.
We did. You hit that hard. That's perfect right there.
Phil Mickelson from 163, so a big drive for Phil, just short of the crosswalk. But he's fresh from a bogey at the 14th hole. One eagle here today, that by Davis Love. One yesterday, that from Jack Nicklaus. And we await the drama when the final twosome hit this hole. At the 16th, David Frost was a factor through the first 2 days. And then fell off the pace today. He started at -4. He's now at 3 under par. Tied for 5th a year ago. South African, now living in Dallas. Beauty. If you joined us late, we had an ace earlier today. Raymond Floyd with a 5-iron. And we go to 14.
Greg Norman from 157 yards, left center of the fairway. Hole cut back 26 in the back left. If you're going to miss it here, you must miss it long and not short. The other option is keeping it fat to the right side of the flagstick. Fat side of the green. Greg wisely hitting that ball out to the right, but it's going to go down the slope some 70 feet away when that ball stops. And that is 3-putt territory. And Nick Faldo, only 136 yards, but the pine tree is right in front of him to 17.
Nabelo's birdie putt to get within 3. And he just missed on the right edge. A tap in for par for Nabelo to remain at -6. And he is still 4 shots behind Faldo with the 18th still to play. To 14.
Now Faldo's going to have to choke down and hit some type of run-up shot. Back when this golf course was built in the 30s by Alistair McKenzie and Bob Jones, this hole in particular was designed for the run-up shot. There's 2 large mounds about 30 yards short of the green. And there's 2 big mounds buried in the green. Nick chose to carry that ball all the way up to the top. And it will gather into a little flat area in the center of the green, and not a bad shot from there. Very safely played and a smart golf shot. You know, to win this golf tournament, you've got to learn to control your thoughts and emotions first. And today it's been a very, very tough situation for Greg Norman. And you know, Ben Crenshaw, I guess golf's a little bit like life. You know, you've got to learn to accept the things that happen to you out here on the golf course.
Well, Jerry, I think no doubt with the things that have happened to him today, you know, and on one hand he feels sick, but that putt gave him some life back there. And if he comes back from this, it's going to be one of the greatest victories ever. He's got to gather his thoughts. He's thinking nothing but getting out of this hole, not trading a stroke with Nick Faldo. He's trying. His lag putting has been great all week. This is believe me, this is a tough putt to try to gauge the speed, because from where he is, from where Nick's, and from where Greg's ball is, he's coming up 5 feet up
well,
the hill.
The fall from the bottom of this green all the way to the bottom is 7 feet, and you're exactly right. It's about a 5-foot slope, some 70 feet at least uphill, with a large break to the left. And let's go to 15.
Phil Mickelson for eagle. Don't you know he would love to have those short missed putts back from Amen Corner. That's the second eagle of the day. We go to 14.
Well, in fact, Phil Mickelson 3-putted this hole earlier from the exact same spot that Greg Norman is playing his third shot from. Well, it's enough speed. And what a fantastic lag putt by Norman. I don't think you could hit a bag of balls and hit that putt any closer to the hole. So Norman with that par 4 remains at 8 under par, 2 back of Faldo. Now, Faldo had the opportunity to see the exact line as Greg's ball traveled right over his mark. Nick from about 25 feet. He knows the line will break just slightly to his right, and I really don't imagine at this point Nick needs to be concerned about trying to make this putt as much as just keeping the right speed. He doesn't want to roll this by the hole much more than 6 inches. If anything, I would look to see him come up just short. Take 4 and go on. Right on line, and as expected, Nick kept that putt just below the hole. But there's still a lot of golf left ahead. Kenny Venturi, I don't think there's any question that it's been a match play event for Nick Faldo and Greg Norman since yesterday afternoon when they first teed off. And what point do you feel that it's going to reverse? The pressure is going to be on Faldo with a 2-shot lead.
Well, they've gone, Jerry, they've gone for one thing. Norman had the 6-shot lead, and what he did, he was protective. He was aggressive but protective. But now this is a protective putt. Faldo, the characters are now reversed. He is now being protective.
So Faldo knocks that in for a par 4 and remains 2 ahead of Norman, and the final stretch is ahead for these 2 golfers. Let's go to 18.
Frank Nobilo from the first fairway bunker.
That's 151 yards, trying to hit a 7-iron and really hit it heavy, and it's going to be well short.
Hit the lip of that bunker. Now he really has a tricky one coming up. Out to 16.
And here's lefty on the tee of the par 3. And that's a safe play. 35, 40 feet away with about a 2 or 3 foot break.
Come on, Dan. Come on, Dan.
And Duffy Waldorf. Well, it's going to stay up on the ridge. Duffy with a par 5 at the 15th after a birdie at 14. 1 under for today's round. Now on the tee, 15th hole, par 5, 500 yards. Straight away. Faldo has parred this hole 2 of the first 3 rounds. Greg Norman has birdied at each of the three. Faldo's birdie here came on Friday. Approval from the tee. Yeah, pine trees over on the left.
The shadows are not a good sign, Vern. I think he may be a little far left.
Mm-hmm. Now, Kenny, recall that yesterday Greg Norman pulled his tee shot here and had to pitch over the trees and lay up. Did manage to birdie the hole, however. And on Friday, Greg had pushed it right. Let's see what he does with this.
It's imperative that he is able to put this on the green in two, Vern.
Gallery says yes. And it starts to roll left.
That's doubtful too.
To 18.
Frank Nobilo, 35-year-old New Zealander.
This was early. I want to show you experience. Watch this. He took the bunker out of play. He knows the 18th green.
Mm-hmm.
That is a very, very smart play.
They'll have that for par. Nobilo tied for third with Phil Mickelson at the moment. Faldo and Norman at the pivotal 15th in the final round.
Any good? How about the reaction?
Nick Faldo with a two-shot lead from Greg Norman as they play the 15th. Bill McAtee and Ben Crenshaw back now in Butler Cabinet. We talked about Greg Norman having the advantage on the par fives. He couldn't take advantage of that at 13. He has to do it now, I guess.
I've got a sneaking suspicion that 15 is going to be the swing hole in the tournament. It looks like it is. You would never know. We've seen all kinds of things so far, but it'll be interesting to see how far left they've gone on 15. It looks like they may be a hair too far left, but I don't know. No, I think it looks pretty good.
Those shadows at this time of day always a key indicator on what will happen with that second shot. So let's go back out to the play at the 15th.
Bill, Ben, I think they're both going to be okay. There is a protruding branch from that tall pine tree that you see on the right side of the screen, but the hole cut back right as it usually is on Sunday afternoon. Faldo will be first to play. He's 212 yards away. Kenny, time to be aggressive for him?
It's more time to be smart right now with the two-shot lead. He has to swing it. And the one thing is, you have to overswing it. There are two things that could enter into this. The bunker on the right, which not gives you much green to work with, but it hits it in there hot, sweeping from right to left. He can put it well over the green and leave himself a very difficult pitch shot.
That's the bunker Ken had in mind. That menacing pond, quiet now. Just below the hole. 4-iron for Faldo. Two-shot lead from 212 yards out. Safely on. It's a little hot and off the back edge. And that's not an easy chip.
No, because he's over the green, Vern, is because he hit that right to left. He took the bunker out of play. That's the one place it's better over the green than he is in the bunker right.
Now, no question how aggressive Greg Norman will be. 200 yards, a bit of a better angle, and a 6-iron in his hands.
Plus, he hits the ball higher, so he has a little bit. He has an advantage here. If he ever was going to zero in on a pin, this is the one.
He trails by 2. He's 200 yards away. Toward the bunker. Holds up. Uh-oh.
That'll stop.
And his heart stopped for a moment as well, I bet. Kenny, could he have underclubbed?
I would think that he tried to bring it in so high that it might have fluttered a little bit. I think he had the right club for him from that elevation. But the thing about it is that I think when he was trying to sweep it from right to left a little bit, he put a little bit of a block on it.
Let's go to 18.
Nobilo for par. This was earlier. You know, the man who has finished 9th and 10th in the last 2 United States Opens will drop to 4th at the present time in the Masters. His best showing in a major. Back to 15.
And the gallery stands and applauds as these two warriors approach the 15th. Nick Faldo, 2-time champion, both times victorious in playoffs. And Greg Norman, at the age of 41, in quest of his first Masters jacket. Something seemed so secure when he began the day. But he's looking uphill now. Faldo, I believe, is away. And the gallery allowed to view from the fairway some 125 yards back. Well, let's see, they're really equidistant.
Vern, looking at both little chips or little pitch shots, I give the advantage here to Norman. He has by far the easier one because he's coming uphill. It'll sweep from right to left, and Faldo has to bump and run it, but Norman will play first. And I think that's good. I like that because if he gets it in close, he puts the heat on him.
Wonderful touch. Oh, goodness!
It's the first time I've seen him show emotion all day, right?
He thought and we thought, Kenny, for a moment.
And I thought that is dead center. Very timely.
Now Nick Faldo. And this, Ken, we've seen it left in the rough, or in the, not the rough, but the edge of the green more than once today.
From over this green, you have seen all week. You've seen him in the water, but not from this angle. But the one thing he's thinking about is he's got to get it up on the green, and sometimes you get a little aggressive with this. He's got a very lofty club.
Oh, that's terrific. He should be well pleased with that. Well, Greg Norman's eagle effort with the chip is worth another look. Watch Greg's reaction. Live, Faldo is away. He's probably got 4 feet left here. Began the day 6 back. Pulled even at the 11th. And then when Greg Norman completed a disastrous 4 holes, bogey, 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 double bogey, Faldo had a 2-shot lead, which he maintains to this spot. For par. Birdie. There's 1-4. And so the lead remains 2 with 3 holes remaining. We're in the final round at Augusta. Nick Faldo leads over 2. Greg Norman. Welcome back to the 16th hole. This majestic par 3 playing today at 180 yards on the tee. Nick Faldo leads by 2. Hole cut back left. That's a little fat, safely on. It'll roll back down the hill. See this green shaped, something like an artist's palette. Hole cut with the thumb might go only 3 yards from the left side.
Vern, that's a very conservative. That's what you kind of shot you hit with a 2-shot lead.
And
just don't take a chance.
We expect just the opposite, I would think, from Greg Norman here, Ken.
I would imagine so. I think this is take it as far and deep back there as you can. He can't wait any longer, Vern.
Get it short.
No. 2 years ago, Greg Norman shot a 77 in the final round. 3 years ago, Greg Norman shot a 77 in the final round. In neither of those cases, however, was he in contention. Last year, a tie for third. Now he stands at the drop area. The 6-shot lead with which he began this day, an ever increasingly distant memory. He put it in the water at 12 and doubled the hole. And he's found the water at 16 and may face the same fate. This one, candidly, might go down as one of the great final round collapses in major tournament history. That's obviously what he'd hoped for when he hit his first shot on this hole.
You could see it, Vern, and when he made contact, you know, you could see his eyes, you can see his hole, the way he acted. It was in the water. He just went right over the top of it, and trying to draw it back into the back part of the green, he just overcooked it and came over the top and just took it right in the water.
He does remain one of the most talented and widely loved golfers in the world. And the gallery stands in respect as Greg Norman takes this agonizingly long walk. Kenny?
He gets himself set up well. He's square and everything there. Takes it back here. Now watch. As he gets to the top here, he starts to move far ahead of it. There where, and then comes over the top and followed his hips. His hips spun out. His arms and hand followed. The club went over the top. Pull hook.
And now the final two competitors on this long Sunday afternoon at the 16th. Some of you may have missed the shot of the day on this 16th hole, and we'll replay it for you in just a moment. In the meantime, here is Nick Faldo for birdie. Defeated Scott Hoke in the playoff in '89 to win here. Defeated Ray Floyd in 1990 to win here. It would appear he doesn't need a playoff today. Singed the edge. Greg Norman. 6 times in his 16 years here, he has finished in the top 5. This, it would seem, was his best chance ever to win his first Masters victory. Twice a runner-up. Nick Faldo will complete the 16th first. Faldo 4 under on the day's round with 2 holes remaining. Greg Norman is 6 over on today's round with 2 to go, and double bogeys at the 12th and the 16th. Well, very early this afternoon, Raymond Floyd, who was a wire-to-wire winner here, the last such in 1976, came to the 16th hole and put a 5-iron in his hands, and this was the result. Probably 30, 35 feet away. And did it take the break? To 18.
Phil Mickelson now just a shot out of second from that first bunker. Picked it clean, Kenny.
Yeah, but it's not going to be enough. It's going to hit the bank. It will not reach the green.
He was 151 away. That was a 7-iron attempt to the 17th tee. Sean.
Where Nick Faldo stands with a 4-shot lead. Started the day 6 back. And an excellent tee shot. Obviously Norman needs a catastrophe to befall Faldo here, and it's highly unlikely. We haven't seen anything worse than a bogey made at 17 today. It has been a birdie hole throughout. 5 bogeys, 2 doubles for Norman today. For the first 3 rounds, Greg had played the back 9 in 11 under with only 1 bogey. That was at 12 yesterday. And today he's played the back 9 in 4 over. 218.
Mickelson about to play his 3rd. Duffy Waldorf also short of the green in 2. Duffy comes here at -5. Mickelson at 6 under.
This is take all of his wizardry to do this, and he is 6 under in 3rd place, and 4 is an important score on this hole for him to keep him in 3rd place. Oh, that will not get the slope. Didn't go high enough. That is such a difficult pitch from there, Jim. That there's nothing to work with. The hardest thing to stop is the ball when the green is above your feet. The ball doesn't stop as well. So this one here, you're looking at exactly the same shot that Mickelson had with Duffy
Waldorf, who jumped out with an eagle at the 2nd hole today. and kind of leveled off. 5 under and similar.
You just can't
length
stop.
away.
You can't stop a little pitch shot going up the hill with the green above your feet.
Tell you, think what kind of day this could have been for Mickelson, who missed 3 short ones earlier and 3 putted 14.
He missed a little putt at 11, missed a little putt at 12. He 3 putted 4. And how about number 8?
8.
And Mickelson, probably one of the best putters out here. He's probably about as high as he could have shot all day, really.
One thing about Nick Faldo's round, he was 4 under today, and no one stopped that.
Well, he said yesterday he felt he needed 66. And not thinking that Norman would do what he did, but that was the number I had in mind. And I thought that for Faldo to make a run at it. But you know, you get thinking about it, and it's, you know, you get playing for 3 days, you play aggressive and right after it, and then you all of a sudden change your game plan and get conservative, and your swing, your rhythm, everything changes. Your whole attitude changes. Instead of seeing the pin, you're looking for greens. First 3 days, you're looking for pins. So Mickelson now coming downhill.
It's a big putt here, Kenny, for par.
Ooh, keep him 3rd by himself. If not, he'll go into a tie for 3rd.
With Frank Nobilo, and depending on what Duffy Waldorf does, possibly Waldorf too.
Duffy's taking a good look. He's just staring at Mickelson's line.
There's a velvet touch. That's the one he needed earlier in the day.
Came back to him, starting at 15, when he drained the 35-foot eagle putt.
I truly believe you're looking at a future Masters champion right there.
Maybe next year, with the way he improves, 46th to 34th to 7th to 3rd in 4 Masters to 17.
Gentlemen, how many times have we heard those words about Greg Norman? He might still be a future Masters champion, but it's highly unlikely now what'll happen today. Faldo from 114. He and Norman side by side in the middle of the fairway. Faldo, once dubbed Faldo by the British press, playing flawlessly down the stretch. Meanwhile, Greg Norman started the day with a 6-shot lead, 3rd largest in Masters history after 54 holes. This from 113 yards. The only 2 men with a bigger lead after 3 rounds, Raymond Floyd in 1976. Fine shot by Norman. Floyd led by 8 over Jack Nicklaus, won by 8 over Ben Crenshaw. In 1980, Seve Ballesteros led by 7 after 3 rounds over Ed Fiore, and he won by 4 over Gibby Gilbert. If it stays this way, this will be the largest lead lost after 3 rounds.
Waldorf for par. And that'll drop him back to 5th with Scott Hoke. But another good showing at the Masters for Duffy Waldorf. Top 24 last year. Nick Faldo on his way to collecting a 3rd green jacket.
Maybe. Yes, sir!
Well, the most knowledgeable galleries in golf about to witness Nick Faldo's 3rd green jacket to Talk about lofty company. Only demerit, Snead, Player, Palmer, and Nicklaus have achieved that. Let's go back to 17.
Faldo for birdie. This would give him a 5-shot lead. Pushed it, left himself a tap in of a foot for par. Now Norman will stalk this short birdie putt. Greg started the day believing that this would be the day he'd erase the memory of Larry Mize's chip in to beat him in sudden death in '87, and of his pushed 4-iron on 18 in 1986 when the bogey cost him a chance at a playoff with Jack Nicklaus. For as well as Faldo has played, Norman has played a large part in beating himself. To get within 3. Just as you knew virtually every putt he struck over the first 3 rounds was going to go in, somehow you had a feeling that one wasn't. Faldo takes a 4-shot lead to the 18th tee.
Kenny, you never expected when this day started these two would walk to the 18th. Yes, you could say there'd be a 4-shot difference, but you would think it would be Norman coming here with that kind of a lead, not Faldo.
Well, you and I sat around and discussed it. We took all the scenarios, everything we could do. I thought that no matter how bad Norman could play, he couldn't lose the tournament. But one thing has happened is that for 3 days you saw him so aggressive. You never seen him miss many shots, and then all of a sudden, when you get conservative, your tempo, your timing, all of your attitude changes, and which produces swing changes.
Some of his worst moments have, talking about Greg, have happened in the company of Nick Faldo. That much ballyhooed British Open of 1990. It was a significant twist in each of their careers. They were paired together in the last group at St. Andrews. Faldo shot 67, Norman 76. Nick went on to hoist the second of 3 claret jugs. But it was a devastating blow to Norman, who saw his game stall for 14 months without a win. Yesterday they were paired together, and Greg had the better of it by 2, but a monumental sized collapse today. But this man has the best round going. Nick Faldo, 4 under on Sunday.
Hey, Bert! Hey, Bert! Come on! Take this home, my folks. Big swing here.
Trying to take a little bit left to right and going to find a bunker. That was a swing of a man with a 4-shot lead, trying to be conservative there, trying to just put it into play. Norman now 4 shots behind Faldo, 1 shot ahead of Phil Mickelson. Mickelson will be thinking about his putting game tonight, this afternoon when he finishes.
What's the 1 shot, though, that Norman, of all of them today, he'd like to have over?
But I'll tell you, first of all, here, I don't think he's going to leave anything in the bag here at all. I think he's going to get everything he's got. That's as hard as you can swing.
Good shot.
The 1 shot?
Yes.
Number 9.
Second shot at 9.
Yes.
We came up short of the hole, made bogey. Faldo will walk in with the 96 champion in a moment.
Watch this. Watch this.
Not over yet.
Watch this. Here it goes. There it
Nicklaus. Well, I've seen two of the best. What a comeback.
Jack Nicklaus won this tournament 6 times, Arnold Palmer 4 times, while Gary Player, Sam Snead, and Jimmy Demaret all collected 3 green jackets each. And this man's about to join them.
Players dream of winning it once, and to think that someone could win it 3 times or 4 and then 6 like Nicklaus is just phenomenal. But
this guy who's also won 3 British Opens, give him 6 Grand Slam titles.
well, he was very methodical today. He was really played within himself. He had a definite plan going out there. He was thinking 66. In fact, you know, that would be the thing if Norman could go out and say, well, I feel it with his 66, I've got to shoot myself at 69 or 70 at the worst. You have a different attitude.
It was 25 years ago today when a 13-year-old perfectionist named Nick Faldo discovered his calling. He stayed up past midnight on Easter Sunday in England, watching the final round of the 1971 Masters, and in particular, he was watching Jack Nicklaus. He was so enthralled with the bear, even though Jack didn't win that particular tournament. So captivated was young Nick, he was taking his first golf lesson within a week. And now only Palmer and Nicklaus will have more green jackets in their closet than Nick Faldo after today.
134 yards right here, and it will be tried to be to the right side, to the right of the bunker. Anything right, he'll keep it. Like this.
How about this?
How about this?
Might come back too.
We just saw something. Sandy Lau, remember that?
Yeah. That was pretty timely, wasn't it?
I'll tell you what. The hole was not cut as close to the front and to the left as when Sandy Lau was there, but that's an identical shot we saw. And Norman only 116 yards. He's got a pitching wedge. He doesn't like it.
Good left.
Doesn't like it. Come off the hill.
This typifies the day.
Yes, that's a going through the motion. That kind of is like you're looking, but you're not seeing anything.
Well, Greg Norman will hear the applause walking up the 18th. But the rapturous applause is for Nick Faldo.
The greatest galleries in golf right here.
And this is the first time he's ever had a chance to savor this experience. His first 2 Masters were won in a sudden death playoff out at 11. Greg must get down in 2 to secure second alone. Norman has won over 70 tournaments in 13 countries, but he's also a man who has suffered so many devastating defeats, some at the hands of fate, others, like today, self-inflicted. This one has to be the hardest of them all to accept.
When you look at a back 9 at Augusta, it doesn't seem that difficult, but it is one of the most difficult 9s to protect a lead. Only the 2-putt if he can. One thing he didn't want to do is have it far enough away that he'd have to mark it or go ahead and cut it. He'll clean it, put it down. He's not even going to ask Tony to wipe it off.
This is the 14th time that Greg has played a 4th round at the Masters. And the 6th time he shot 77 or higher. The number today, 78. 277s, 278s, and 279s in 4th round action at the Masters.
I feel so sorry.
I think everyone does, Kenny. You can only hope that someday he'll get the chance to conquer this course in this tournament. It's been his lifelong quest. Now, Nick Faldo. Well, he thought he had to shoot 67 today. He'd get it right here.
He had a number. Greg did not have a number.
He got it. Nick Faldo has won the Masters for the 3rd time.
You think it was meant to be with that putt, Jimmy? That's one of the biggest comebacks I have ever experienced, ever. Not that coming from 6-back, but what he won by.
Oh, what a great moment. These two warriors who have battled so many times.
I'll tell you one thing. You go to the dictionary and look up the word class and you'll see a picture of Greg Norman.
No question.
I'm proud of him.
Well, Nick Faldo has been called meticulous, methodical, but above all, you can call him a Masters champion for a 3rd time. 1989 and 90, matching Nicklaus, the only 2 to ever win this tournament back-to-back, and now 96. A day not to be believed. Nick Faldo with a 5-stroke win in the 1996 Masters. The 60th Masters got underway under ideal conditions on Thursday. And 53-year-old Ray Floyd thrilled the gallery with this eagle chip at 15. Speaking of thrills, Phil Mickelson was ablaze on the back 9. This his approach to the 18th. He shot 30 coming home for a 65, good for the clubhouse lead, until this man arrived late in the afternoon. Greg Norman seizing control of this tournament day 1. This, a 4-iron run-up shot to the 14th after his tee shot had struck the trees. It led to birdie and a course record-tying 63, the greatest start in Masters history. Friday, the weather was also clear, but the winds were swirling. Nick Faldo emerged, however. He shot 67, with shots like this at 13. We witnessed the wizardry of Phil Mickelson at the 18th after his tee shot rattled around the trees and was spit into the fairway. He hit this slashing 5-iron that curled close enough for another closing birdie. And Norman backed up his 63 with a 69, thanks to a masterful touch. Arnold Palmer dazzled the gallery in his 42nd Masters. He birdied the 18th on Friday. Tom Watson's streak of 21 straight years of making the cut came to a close. And last year's winner, Ben Crenshaw, also failed to make the cut. Come Saturday, some concern about the weather, but just a few light showers is all. Nothing to dampen the spirits, especially when the old bear got going with this eagle pitch over at the 15th, striking up memories of '86. Nicholson had a day where things just weren't dropping. And Nick Faldo was trying to pick and surgically move closer to the lead of Norman. With this slippery putt at 9, he actually closed the gap to 3. But Faldo saw Norman just steady himself on the back 9, especially at 12, where Greg's saving bogey putt for 4 was a huge moment in this tournament. But come Sunday, it suddenly went very dark for Greg Norman. This was a par putt at 9. They were all slipping away. Meanwhile, Nick Faldo started his charge with a birdie at 8. Ray Floyd gave us another great moment, picking up more crystal over at the 16th. Never felt right today for Greg. And just when he thought he might have a chance, a glimmer of hope to get back in at 15, the eagle just went right by the hole. This was a big chip. Faldo from behind the green, executing it with such a delicate touch. And then to close it out, Faldo came out today and shot the lowest round in the field, a 67, coming from behind for his 3rd green jacket. Every time he's won this tournament, he's come from way back. Back in '89, he was 3 down with 3 holes to play. In '90, he was 7 behind with 18 remaining. And this is why golf is the greatest game in the world. 2 great warriors and champions meeting at the 18th. A look at the field, Azinger and Ballesteros. These the top 44 who made it into the weekend. +2 was the number on Friday night. Fred Couples has never missed a cut here. John Daly, +6. David Duval in his first Masters tournament, +2. Brad Faxon had been injured coming in. Toughed it out, finished +4. David Frost at 2 under. Furyk and Gallagher, +6. Jay Haas actually matched a Masters record when on Friday he had his 9th consecutive round at par or better, equaling a feat first accomplished by Arnold Palmer back in the 60s and matched by Ray Floyd in the mid-70s. Lee Janzen, 1 under. He's always played well at Augusta. Tom Lehman, once a runner-up, he was +2. Davis Love III, a fine 68 to finish in the top 10. And Jeff Maggart birdied the last. Phil Mickelson moving up to 3rd with some late heroics, including the eagle at 15. Colin Montgomery, many felt one of the favorites coming in here. He said his game was in peak form when he arrived at Augusta, but he finished at 8 over. Corey Pavin, for the 6th straight year, he finishes in the top 20. Scott Simpson and Vijay Singh, Craig Stadler and Bob Tway, who grew up as a young man in Georgia, used to come down here and watch from behind the ropes the Masters, and his hero Tom Weiskopf. Duffy Waldorf, a good showing at 4 under par, finishing in 5th. We're back in the Butler cabin getting ready now for the green jacket presentation, and it's a pleasure to be sitting alongside Joe Ford, the vice chairman of the Augusta National Golf Club. And I know the only disappointment you probably feel this week is that no amateur made it into the weekend, Joe.
Jim, it is traditional that amateurs play in the Masters, and this year we had 5 amateurs. Unfortunately, none of those made the cut, so we were disappointed in that.
Well, let me introduce the gentleman joining us here. First off, we have Ben Crenshaw, who won his 2nd green jacket last year, and Nick Faldo, who enters the Butler cabin for a remarkable 3rd time. Congratulations, Nick.
Thank you very much.
Joe?
Nick, congratulations to you. You started this morning 6 behind. What was your strategy when you started?
Strategy? Well, I think it was too much for that. I mean, I went out to do what I ended up doing, shooting 67, or as I said, 65, 66, 67. But I genuinely feel sorry for Greg. He's a great man. You know, it's in a way it's a credit to the Masters for what you put us through. I'm afraid. You know, it's the most nerve-wracking golf course in the world, isn't it? As simple as that. We have to play the most precise golf under the most extreme pressures, and so you know, I've come out great, but I do feel sorry for Greg.
Well, you made the turn trailing by 2. When did you think you could win?
Well, when Greg bogeyed 10, really I think that was a bit of momentum, and then after that it was really hitting clutch shots. I mean, I had the honour on 12. I think that was very key. I hit, you know, just like a good old match play strategy, get it on the green first, and so I hit a very good shot there. Then I had a very good 2-iron at 13. I had such a good line. I wanted to go for it, but I was on such a steep slope. So you know, I was toying between 5 wood and what have you, and I didn't. So finally, I went with the 2 irons. I was very pleased with that shot. And then they were coming in really. Greg was still in it when we both chipped at 15. We both had very difficult chips. Both get up and down there. And you know, the last 3 holes, we all know what happened. So you know, there we go.
Well, did you change your strategy at all when you took the lead through 12?
No, I just tightened everything up. Swallowed harder, breathed harder, tried to walk. You know, I think that was a secret. I thought, well, you know, now I was now in a horrible situation. Now it was mine to lose. So you know, I had to put my head down and grind as hard as I could. You know, and it was very difficult with emotion going on. And, you know, so I'm obviously, you know, I'm delighted the way I've played that back 9 today.
Well, for the 3rd time you were coming up 18. What were your thoughts today when you were winning?
Well, coming up 8, well, I finally got a 4-shot lead, which was really, you know, you wouldn't believe it. So I was able to enjoy it, and enjoy it in a strange way. As I said, I was trying to enjoy it, but I do feel sorry for Greg. You know, he's a...
Thank you. Jim.
Joe, we have a reaction from Greg Norman from just a moment ago as he exited the scoring tent there at 18. Here's what he had to say.
What happened today?
Well, I really don't know. I haven't had a chance to think about it yet, but obviously I didn't play as well as I didn't putt very well today. It's just one of those things that things just didn't go my way. And Nick played a great round. He played very solid, very steady, and you know, it was all my mistakes.
Ben, your win last year will be remembered for a long time, and will you present Nick with his green jacket?
I'll be very happy to present you with your 3rd jacket, Nick. That was magnificent.
Thank you,
playing.
Ben. Thank you very
Wonderful
much. I putted like you, eh, for a change.
You did everything well. You played
Help me, Ben.
fantastic.
It's difficult. Oh, boy. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you.
Nick, I've been here for all 3 of them. And every
Thanks.
time
Yeah,
you've
thank
come in
you.
here overwhelmed by
Yeah,
emotion,
I know. Thank you.
voice cracking, tears in the eyes.
It's kind of tricky out there, you know.
Yeah.
It gets
Congratulations.
to you, this golf course.
Nick Faldo has won the Masters again. And for all of us from CBS Sports, good night from Augusta, Georgia.